The winds carry stories of old across the 7 hills of Rome. Stories that trace the rise of a city built from ambition and grit. A city that would become the epicenter of human civilization for over 1,000 years. It begins here, on the banks of the Tiber River, where the seeds of greatness were sown in legend. In the mists of mythology, we hear of Romulus and Remus, twin sons of Mars, cradled in a basket as the river swept them away from danger. Rescued by a she-wolf, they grew strong, their rivalry reflecting the fierce spirit of Rome itself. Their bond fractured, their conflict bloody, with Romulus standing victorious and naming the city after himself. This tale, passed down through generations, mirrors the essence of Rome: resilient, ambitious, unyielding. Step into the 8th century BCE, and you'll see something much less grand. A collection of wooden huts scattered on the Palatine Hill, shrouded in morning mist. The air smells of damp earth and firewood as the first rays of sunlight illuminate the Tiber River winding below. Farmers till the land with primitive tools, their hands calloused but their hearts hopeful. Trade routes crisscross through the region, bringing whispers of opportunity. It is these whispers that spark Rome's ambition, whispering promises of something greater, something eternal. Rome's location was its first advantage, a crossroads between the Etruscans to the north and the Greek colonies to the south. These influences began to shape the city's culture, blending the architectural brilliance of the Etruscans with the philosophical depth of the Greeks. The early Romans were keen observers, absorbing knowledge and practices from their neighbors while crafting their own unique identity. By the 6th century BC, Rome was no longer a cluster of huts but a thriving city-state with temples dedicated to gods and bustling marketplaces filled with the aroma of fresh bread and spices. But Rome's story is one of transformation, and transformation often comes with conflict. The early kings who ruled over the city brought order and innovation, yet their grip tightened over time. The people, weary of tyranny, revolted against the last king, Tarquin the Proud, in 509 BC. The monarchy was abolished, and in its place arose the Roman Republic, a revolutionary experiment in governance where power lay in the hands of elected officials. It was a system designed to prevent tyranny, but it also planted the seeds of future conflict. This was Rome's defining moment, a city that would not only endure but thrive, its people bound by a shared vision of greatness. This vision carried Rome through centuries of hardship and triumph. It faced threats from rival tribes and the hardships of a fledgling economy. But with each challenge, Rome grew stronger. Its citizens believed in mos maiorum, the way of the ancestors, a code of honor, discipline, and respect for tradition that became the foundation of their society. It is here, in these early struggles, that the character of Rome was forged, setting the stage for an empire that would one day span 3 continents. Rome's rise was not fueled by wealth or privilege but by a relentless drive to prove itself. In its early days, the city was surrounded by powerful enemies: the Etruscans, the Latins, and the Samnites. Each conflict was a test, a lesson that sharpened Rome's military and political acumen. By the 4th century BCE, Rome had established itself as a force to be reckoned with, but its ambitions stretched far beyond the Italian peninsula. The Samnite Wars were pivotal in Rome's transformation. These wars, fought over decades, tested the resilience and ingenuity of the Roman legions. Imagine the clash of swords and the cries of soldiers echoing through the rugged Apennine Mountains. Roman soldiers, clad in bronze armor, marched through narrow mountain passes, their shields glinting in the sunlight. The Samnites, fierce and determined, fought valiantly to defend their lands. But the Romans, masters of strategy, adapted to the terrain and the tactics of their enemies. Victory came not through brute force but through persistence and adaptation, a hallmark of Roman warfare. With the Samnites defeated, Rome turned its attention to the rest of Italy. Its policy of divide and conquer proved effective, as it forged alliances with some tribes while waging war against others. Conquered peoples were not simply subjugated, they were offered a place within the Roman system. Some were granted citizenship, others autonomy under Roman oversight. This inclusivity, rare in the ancient world, created a sense of unity that strengthened Rome's hold on its territories. The construction of roads, known as vie, became a symbol of Rome's expanding influence. These roads, paved with volcanic stone, stretched like arteries across the Italian peninsula, connecting towns and cities. Merchants traveled these roads, their carts laden with goods, olive oil, wine, and pottery, destined for distant markets. Soldiers marched along these same routes, their disciplined footsteps a reminder of Rome's power. The roads were more than infrastructure. They were a statement of Rome's determination to bind its empire together. By the 3rd century BCE, Rome had achieved dominance over Italy. The city, now bustling with activity, was a hub of trade and culture. The Forum, the heart of Roman life, buzzed with merchants, politicians, and philosophers. Yet, Rome's ambition was far from satisfied. Across the sea lay Carthage, a rival city-state whose wealth and naval power threatened Rome's vision of supremacy. The stage was set for one of history's most epic conflicts, the Punic Wars. The Punic Wars, fought between Rome and Carthage over nearly a century, were battles for supremacy, not just over the Mediterranean but over the future of the ancient world. These wars tested the limits of Rome's ambition, resilience, and ingenuity, leaving an indelible mark on history. Carthage, a city of immense wealth and naval power, was founded centuries earlier as a Phoenician colony on the coast of North Africa. By the time Rome had consolidated power in Italy, Carthage controlled vast territories across the western Mediterranean, including parts of Spain, Sardinia, and Sicily. Its navy, with sleek, fast ships, dominated the seas, while its mercenary armies struck fear into its enemies. Rome's rise threatened Carthage's dominance, setting the stage for an epic struggle. The First Punic War began in 264 BCE, ignited by a dispute over the control of Sicily, a vital island lying between Italy and North Africa. Rome, lacking a navy at the time, faced a daunting challenge against Carthage's maritime strength. But the Romans, never deterred by adversity, built their first fleet. Imagine the sound of hammers echoing as shipbuilders worked tirelessly, crafting vessels modeled after a captured Carthaginian warship. These ships were equipped with corvus, a boarding device that allowed Roman soldiers to turn naval battles into land battles, a tactic that played to their strengths. The war raged for 23 years, with fierce battles on land and sea. Roman legions clashed with Carthaginian forces across Sicily, while naval confrontations turned the Mediterranean into a battleground. By 241 BCE, Rome emerged victorious, claiming Sicily as its first overseas province. The victory was hard-won, but it was only the beginning. The rivalry between Rome and Carthage was far from over. The Second Punic War was a conflict of unparalleled drama and audacity. At its heart was Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general whose name became synonymous with brilliance and boldness. In 218 BC, Hannibal launched one of history's most daring campaigns, leading his army, including war elephants, across the Alps to invade Italy. Picture the treacherous journey: snow-covered peaks, narrow mountain paths, and freezing winds battering soldiers and beasts alike. Despite the hardships, Hannibal's determination was unyielding. For over a decade, Hannibal ravaged the Italian countryside, defeating Roman armies in a series of stunning victories. The Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE was his masterpiece, a tactical maneuver that encircled and annihilated a Roman army twice the size of his own. The battlefield was strewn with tens of thousands of Roman dead, their shields broken, their banners trampled. Yet, despite Hannibal's brilliance, he could not conquer Rome itself. The city stood defiant, its walls unbreached, its spirit unbroken. Rome's strategy shifted under the leadership of Scipio Africanus. Instead of confronting Hannibal directly, Scipio targeted Carthage itself. In 202 BCE, at the Battle of Zama, the Roman army decisively defeated Hannibal, ending the war. Carthage was forced to cede territory, pay reparations, and abandon its ambitions. Rome's supremacy over the Mediterranean was solidified. The Third Punic War, fought from 149 to 146 BCE, was less a battle for survival and more an act of vengeance. Rome, now the dominant power, sought to erase Carthage from the map. The Roman legions besieged the city, reducing it to rubble. Carthage's destruction was brutal, its people slaughtered or enslaved. The smoke from the burning city rose like a dark cloud over the Mediterranean, a stark reminder of Rome's unrelenting determination. With Carthage vanquished, Rome's control over the Mediterranean was unchallenged. The empire expanded rapidly, with new provinces in Spain, North Africa, and Greece. The Mediterranean, once a contested arena, became Rome's Mare Nostrum, RC. But with expansion came new challenges, as the empire struggled to manage its growing territories and diverse populations. The era of the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, marked the zenith of Rome's glory. From 27 BCE to 180 CE, the empire enjoyed stability, prosperity, and cultural flourishing under the leadership of visionary emperors like Augustus, Trajan, and Marcus Aurelius. This was Rome's golden age, a time when its influence reached the farthest corners of the known world. Under Augustus, the first emperor, Rome transformed from a republic plagued by internal strife into a unified empire. Augustus declared, "I found Rome a city of bricks and left it a city of marble," a testament to his vision. Public works projects flourished, creating aqueducts that brought fresh water into cities, roads that connected provinces, and monumental structures like the Colosseum and the Pantheon. These achievements showcased Rome's architectural and engineering genius, symbols of its power and ambition. The Colosseum, completed in 80 CE, became the heart of Roman entertainment. Imagine the roar of 50,000 spectators as gladiators clashed in the arena, their swords glinting under the sun. The spectacle was not merely sport but a demonstration of Rome's wealth and control, a reminder that the empire could command even life and death. The empire's economy thrived during this period, fueled by trade networks that spanned continents. Ships laden with goods sailed across the Mediterranean, bringing silk from China, spices from India, and grain from Egypt to feed Rome's growing population. Markets buzzed with activity, merchants haggling over prices as the aroma of exotic spices filled the air. Roman coins, stamped with the image of the emperor, circulated widely, a symbol of the empire's vast reach. Cultural achievements also flourished. Poets like Virgil and Ovid penned works that captured the essence of Roman life, while philosophers debated ethics and governance. Historians like Tacitus preserved the stories of Rome's triumphs and tragedies, ensuring that future generations would remember its legacy. Art, architecture, and literature thrived, creating a cultural tapestry that continues to inspire to this day. Yet, beneath the surface of this golden era, challenges lingered. The wealth of the empire was not evenly distributed, creating stark divides between the elite and the common citizens. Slavery remained the backbone of the economy, fueling resentment among the oppressed. Even in its moment of greatest triumph, Rome was sowing the seeds of its eventual decline. As the golden glow of the Pax Romana began to fade, the Roman Empire entered a new and turbulent era. By the 3rd century CE, the cracks in its vast structure had begun to show. Rome's decline was not sudden, nor was it caused by a single event. Instead, it was the result of a complex web of factors: economic instability, political corruption, military challenges, and societal shifts, all of which converged to weaken the empire from within. The Roman economy, once the backbone of its strength, began to crumble under the weight of its own success. The sheer size of the empire demanded immense resources to sustain its infrastructure, its armies, and its bureaucracy. Heavy taxation drained the provinces, while inflation eroded the value of Roman currency. Farmers, burdened by debt, abandoned their lands, leading to food shortages and unrest. The bustling markets that once symbolized Rome's prosperity became quieter as trade networks faltered and wealth concentrated in the hands of the elite. Politically, Rome was in chaos. The stability of the Pax Romana gave way to the crisis of the 3rd century, a period marked by rapid turnover of emperors, many of whom rose to power through violence or intrigue. In just 50 years, Rome saw the reigns of over 20 emperors, most of whom met untimely deaths. The Senate, once a symbol of Roman governance, had become a shadow of its former self, its authority diminished by the whims of the military and the ambitions of emperors. The political system that had sustained Rome for centuries was unraveling, leaving the empire vulnerable to both internal and external threats. Externally, the borders of the empire were under constant assault. Barbarian tribes, long held at bay by Rome's legions, grew bolder as the empire's defenses weakened. The Rhine and Danube rivers, once natural barriers, became gateways for invaders. The Goths, Vandals, and Huns launched raids that devastated towns and villages, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The legions, stretched thin and often poorly equipped, struggled to hold the line. Entire provinces were lost, their people fleeing for safety or falling under the rule of foreign powers. One of the most catastrophic moments of this era came in 410 CE, when the city of Rome itself was sacked by the Visigoths under their leader, Alaric. For centuries, Rome had been seen as invincible, its walls and armies a symbol of unassailable strength. The sack of the city shattered this illusion, sending shockwaves across the empire and beyond. Though Rome remained the symbolic heart of the empire, its power and influence were waning. Amidst these challenges, cultural and societal shifts were also reshaping the empire. Christianity, once a persecuted faith, had become the official religion of Rome under Emperor Constantine. This shift marked a profound transformation in Roman identity, as traditional polytheistic beliefs gave way to the monotheism of the Christian Church. While Christianity provided hope and unity to many, it also contributed to the decline of traditional Roman institutions and values. The empire was no longer the Rome of Augustus or Trajan. It was something new, something different. The division of the empire into eastern and western halves, while intended to ease administration, further complicated matters. The Eastern Roman Empire, centered in Constantinople, thrived under strong leadership and strategic location. The Western Roman Empire, however, struggled to maintain control, its resources depleted and its leadership fractured. The divide between East and West became more pronounced, with each half charting its own course. Despite these challenges, Rome endured. The city's people clung to their traditions, their pride, and their hope. But the weight of centuries was becoming too much to bear. The story of Rome was nearing its final chapter. The fall of Rome is a story that has captivated historians for centuries. It was not a sudden collapse, but a gradual unraveling that reached its climax in 476 CE, when the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer. This moment, often cited as the fall of Rome, marked the end of an era. But how did it come to this? The Western Roman Empire, by the 5th century CE, was a shadow of its former self. Its once mighty legions had been reduced to fragmented and unreliable forces, often relying on mercenaries to defend its borders. These mercenaries, many of whom were of barbarian origin, had little loyalty to Rome, serving only for pay or personal ambition. The cohesion and discipline that had defined the Roman military for centuries were gone. The political system, too, was in disarray. Emperors were often puppets, their authority undermined by powerful generals or foreign powers. The Senate, once a cornerstone of Roman governance, had lost its influence. Corruption and inefficiency plagued the administration, as leaders prioritized personal gain over the welfare of the empire. Externally, the barbarian invasions intensified. The Huns, led by the fearsome Attila, swept across Europe, displacing tribes and creating a domino effect of migrations and invasions. The Vandals established a kingdom in North Africa, cutting off a crucial source of grain for Rome. The Visigoths settled in Spain, while the Ostrogoths took control of Italy. These incursions were not merely raids, they were transformative events that reshaped the political and cultural landscape of Europe. In 410 CE, the sack of Rome by the Visigoths marked a turning point. For the first time in nearly 800 years, the city that had once ruled the world was vulnerable to foreign invaders. The symbolism of this event was profound. It signaled the end of an era, a loss of confidence in the invincibility of Rome. Yet, the city endured, its people rebuilding and resisting. Rome's spirit was unbroken, but its power was fading. The final blow came in 476 CE, when Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain, deposed Romulus Augustus, the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire. The event was largely symbolic, as real power had already shifted away from Rome. The Eastern Roman Empire, centered in Constantinople, continued to thrive, preserving many aspects of Roman culture and governance. But the dream of a united Roman Empire was gone. The fall of Rome was not just the end of an empire, it was the end of an era. It marked the transition from antiquity to the Middle Ages, a period of profound change and transformation. Yet, even in its fall, Rome left a legacy that would shape the course of human history. Rome may have fallen, but its influence is eternal. The legacy of the Roman Empire is woven into the fabric of modern civilization, shaping our laws, governance, language, architecture, and culture. It is a legacy that reminds us of the heights that human ambition can reach and the fragility of even the greatest powers. The legal system of Rome, with its principles of justice and equity, became the foundation for legal systems across the world. Terms like habeas corpus and concepts like property rights trace their origins to Roman law. The codification of these principles in the Justinian Code, preserved by the Byzantine Empire, ensured their survival and continued relevance. The Latin language, once spoken across the empire, evolved into the Romance languages, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian, spoken by millions today. Even English, though Germanic in origin, bears the imprint of Latin, with countless words derived from Roman roots. Roman architecture and engineering continue to inspire. The arches and domes perfected by Roman builders can be seen in structures around the world, from cathedrals to modern sports stadiums. Aqueducts, roads, and amphitheaters stand as enduring symbols of Rome's ingenuity and ambition. Perhaps most enduring is Rome's cultural legacy. The stories of its heroes and leaders, from Aeneas to Caesar, continue to inspire. The works of Roman poets, historians, and philosophers offer timeless insights into the human condition. Rome's art and literature, its triumphs and tragedies, remain a testament to the creativity and resilience of the human spirit. As we reflect on the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, we see not just a historical narrative, but a mirror of our own world. Its ambitions, its challenges, its potential for greatness. Rome's story is a reminder that all empires rise and fall, but their legacies endure. The eternal city may no longer rule the world, but its spirit lives on, inspiring generations to dream, to build, and to achieve the extraordinary.